guys, my name's Shelby. I'm with the Rogers Public Library. So this week for Makerspace at Your Place, I want to talk to you guys about monotyping. So this is a form of printmaking, although unlike other types of printmaking you might be familiar with, like wood cutting or lithography, there's not any permanent etchings. So what I mean is, like, for instance, you have a stamp like this, it has lines cut into it, and every time you make a print on a piece of paper, you're going to get the exact same shape and pattern. And monotyping isn't like that. You have a blank plate that you draw onto and then you transfer that to paper. So this was invented in Italy in the 17th century by an artist named Castiglione. You want to try to use some of his art techniques that he developed. And the way that he would do this, he would take a plate made out of copper, and he would coat it with ink or paint, and then he would use a Q-tip to take off a little bit of paint, and then it would create a picture, and just transfer that to canvas or paper or whatever. And this is called the subtractive method of monotyping. There's another method too, called the additive method, which is you just draw straight on the piece of paper, straight on the plate, and just like you would on a piece of paper, and then you transfer that. Yeah, and I have some monotypes that I found these online. This one is by Edgar Degas. He draws a lot of pictures of ballerinas, or he did when he was alive. There's a landscape called Paysage Vert. This one is by Camille Pissarro. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. It's a very long German word. But I'm guessing this is probably a subtractive method. You can see there's a very dark background. And this one is a more contemporary one by a guy named Jonin à la Recherche. And also this one, it looks like he or she did the did the printing, and then also did some drawing on top of that. But so that's just some different things that people have done with this before. So we can now talk about how you actually go about making a plate, right? So if you have something like this, just a sheet of acrylic, you can use it, and it'll work perfectly fine. But you can also make a little bit fancier one. So this is a piece of vinyl. It looks a little gross because it has like paint and stuff stuck on it. But I connected it to a piece of cardboard with brass fasteners. And I did that so that I can slide a piece of paper underneath and then trace over it when I want to paint something. So it's pretty simple to do. This piece of vinyl is already pre-cut, and then I just connected it. Right. So yeah, that's the actual plate. And then as far as what you'll need to make the drawings, I have a couple tools here. I have a paintbrush. I also have a roller. This is made out of foam. There's also some rollers that are made out of other stuff that works a little bit better with ink, but this one doesn't work super well with ink. So, but it does with paint. So we're just using acrylic paint today. And then and our brush, and then we also have a rolling pin that I've covered in saran wrap so that when I roll it to get a better image quality, it doesn't get paint on it, right? Because we still want to use this for other stuff like making cookies or whatever, right? So I'll show you guys the subtractive method first. All right, so I'm going to take some paint. I'm just going to drip it on here. And this is fun because it's kind of messy. That might actually be too much paint, but we'll find out. And you want to get a very nice, not super thick coat, because if you do, it'll blotch. And it'll look really kind of creepy. Let me show you an example of how this was supposed to be a mushroom, but I put too much paint on it, so it did not turn out like a mushroom at all. I had some other ones that were even worse, but yeah. This also, this one, kind of the same thing happened. I used watercolor paints for this, so it turned out reasonably well, but I think I like the acrylic the best, and then probably the tempera after that. So we have a nice coat, and then we just need to make marks in it. Let's see. I'll try to draw a kitty. So, having a little bit of difficulty, just because I'm getting paint on my brush, and that means that, or it limits the amount of kind of spreading around that it can do. A Q-tip works really well for this as well. I think it works actually a little bit better, just because you don't have to worry so much about having paint on your brush. All right, so we have this kind of faint outline. I'll try to transfer it to a piece of paper. See how that goes. Let's see. So we got a little cat pattern. That turned out pretty well. And of course, you can't always, so one thing is you can get a second print out of this. It's not going to look the same. I'm not going to bother with the roller. Alright, so you'll get a really faint thing. You might want to do that, just try to get some of that excess paint off. Another thing to note is that you can do this more than once. So for instance, if you had another picture and you wanted to paint on top of it some more, you could do that. You can totally do that. So this is one that I got. I used some blue paint for it. Let's see, I'm gonna make a heart. And we're not bothering with cleaning it off because, well, we don't have to worry about the dry paint transferring. We're just transferring the wet paint. Okay. See. Yeah, and so you got a little heart. Yeah, so you can combine. You can run more than one print through your plate more than once, or you can run a print more than one time through a plate to get nice layered patterns and shapes. And you can even build up color this way. If say you wanted to combine, if you had a blue paint and you had a yellow paint, you could do the blue paint and then press it down and then wipe it off and then do the yellow paint. But I don't want to get black paint mixed in with my blue paint, so I'm going to use this to do another one and show you the additive method. And so we did that a little bit actually already using this, but I also have these guys. I have not tried these yet, so we're going to find out how they work together. They're liquid chalk markers, but I think that they should, well, for one, it should be easier to draw in here. Yeah, we're getting pretty good shapes. So I kind of, all right, so I just made a pattern. I was trying to get the ink to flow, and so I already got some scribbles on it anyway. Figured that would work better than anything else. This is one I did earlier. I used India ink. It didn't turn out so well, but I think it kind of just ended up making some splotches instead of looking like what I wanted it to. But I think that we can combine it with this and get some pretty good effects. Okay. So yeah, that turned out pretty well. We are getting a lot of different patterns working on top of each other. So this might not just be something that you want to do by yourself, but you can use it as a base to add other techniques on, like using a felt tip pen or using a pencil or something like that to add some finer detail. But it is a lot of fun to do, and with the way it works, you can do a lot of art at once instead of just spending a lot of time on one thing. And I find that a lot of fun. So I ended up with a lot of pictures, although they're not super great. This one's a puppy, over a short period of time. So I hope you guys had fun. I hope you learned something. And I'll see you later. Bye.